Welcome to our Unlocking Digital Success webinar. My name is Luis Jarquin, and I'm a senior training specialist here at designDATA. You may have joined one of our previous training exercises in which we equip people to navigate a productivity application or learn a little bit more about cybersecurity. Well, we're excited for you to join us today, and the purpose of this webinar is to shed light on recent technology developments which can help enhance user experience and collaboration. You can learn some ways to strengthen an organization's security posture and discover some new and innovative ways to leverage technology. We are going to move quickly during our time here, but again, we will have time for questions. We want this webinar to be educational, applicable, and fun. As a quick housekeeping item, I'd like to extend an invitation to our annual event, Vision CSI, where you can learn how you can synergize cybersecurity, data analytics, and mission-driven partnerships. I'm going to share a link here in the chat. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and you can click on that link and you can register for our upcoming event. This will be held on Wednesday, November 15th for a virtual summit on synergizing cybersecurity, data analytics, and mission-driven partnerships. Now, I do have a co-presenter that I'd like to now introduce you, designDATA's very own Microsoft 365 architect, Eric Masoodpur. Eric has advanced his IT career with designDATA for over 10 years. He is a dedicated and committed to the success of his clients. He's modernized many clients to the cloud, and he's recently developed security standards for protecting customers' data and users in their Microsoft 365 environments. Eric was promoted to this role where he focuses on strengthening designDATA cloud practices in Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Azure. Eric, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Luis, and thank you everybody else who has joined, taking some time out of your busy days to meet with Luis and I. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Eric, well, let's go ahead and unpack our first topic. Tell us a little bit more about the team's announcements.
Absolutely. So I'm sure most people on the call have seen it, but there is a new version of Microsoft Teams coming out. I think if you have leveraged the original tool, you'll know that it was a little clunky, could be a little slow. It was difficult to flip between chats and teams and channels seamlessly. So Microsoft thankfully recognizes that, and they have rebuilt it from the ground up. A lot of new features inside the tool, but really what I want to focus on is the performance of the tool. I think that's the biggest piece. So this app launches up to 2 times faster. You join meetings up to 2 times faster. Switch between chats and channels up to 1.7 times faster. It consumes 50% less resources. And the piece that I am most excited for, and I hope others are as well, is now you can seamlessly flip between multiple Teams tenants that you're a part of. So on the top right, you'll have this little bar. I would flip between designDATA or any other third-party tenants that I'm a part of. So on this slide, very top left in that red box, you see that toggle. New Teams, yours might say something along the lines of try new version of Teams. If you have some time and you haven't already tested it out, go ahead and hit that toggle. The app will refresh, download the new version for you. Go ahead and test it out. The one thing that I would say is, although it's in the final stages and being released shortly, there are a little bit of bugs still in there that Microsoft is working out. So you can always seamlessly flip back to the original version if there's a feature that isn't working for you. If you don't see that toggle at the top left, your tenant may have already received that release update from Microsoft, because they were expecting to release it between September and March of next year. Those are, of course, Microsoft timelines, so subject to change. The second piece that I wanted to touch on for Microsoft Teams is Microsoft Teams Premium. This adds a lot of new features on top of the existing version of Teams, but Microsoft, I don't think they really did a large marketing push on this. So I want to touch on a couple features quickly for anybody who isn't aware. That the first piece, branded meetings, which you see on this screen, and it is just that. Branded meetings allow you to put your organization's logo, your branded colors, all inside the Teams meeting like you see on this slide here. This is across all of the apps, so Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, just like you see on this slide. So this is something that really allows your organization to shine internally with your employees, but also externally with any prospects or customers that you're working with. The second piece that I wanted to touch on, which I think is amazing, are AI-powered meetings. So a lot on this slide that you see here, so I'll touch on a few of them, but things like intelligent meeting recap. Teams will listen in on that call if you weren't able to make it. It'll put together the suggested notes, suggested tasks, things like that that you see on the right-hand side of this picture. It will also give you personalized highlights that are just unique to you. And the biggest piece that I like is right at the bottom, you see those 3 participants' names with the color-coded bars. That is showing you every point in time that one of those individuals spoke. So it's a really neat feature. You can click on any one of those little bubbles, pops you right into that point in time in the video recording, and you can see exactly what they were speaking about. The last piece, I apologize on the screenshot, a little difficult to see, but there are some @ symbols. If you were to click on one of those @ symbols, it takes you right into the point of time that someone mentioned your specific name, which I think is amazing. So lots of other features packed inside Teams Premium, but those are the 2 big ones that I wanted to touch on today. So if you had any questions about the new version of Teams, Teams Premium, please reach out to your existing IT team. If you are a designDATA customer, please reach out to your dedicated client team, and we're happy to assist.
Great. Thank you so much, Eric. That AI-powered meetings is a game changer. I love that feature. Well, let's go ahead and look at AI. As a refresher, I'm sure many of you have heard of ChatGPT, and that tool has been making waves since its public release late last year. ChatGPT is an AI large language model chatbot, and this is what's going to help you to analyze and curate answers to whatever you type into that tool. Now, the word or the phrase prompt engineering, it's going to be the skill set to yield better results from these large language model tools. So in other words, the quality of your input will determine the quality of your output. And so this is just a quick snapshot in one of our video training series around prompt engineering. And I want to give you a formula that you could use so that you can begin to use these large language models tools. So allow me to give you an example. So we want to create this scenario here in which we can use this formula. So first one being, we wanted to be able to define the problem concisely. Here might be a very realistic problem that I want to solve using ChatGPT. 2 employees are arguing, causing a rift to the team. Very realistic scenario that could take place. So how can I write a prompt to address this problem? It might look something like, how can I mediate between 2 employees so they collaborate better and I can develop a stronger team? And one step further is, how can I refine that prompt? Maybe I want to prime ChatGPT to act in a certain way, to give me a very curated response. And maybe I want to add some more texture to this scenario. So I might enter in, act as an executive coach. I'm the CEO for my organization, and 2 of my best employees are not getting along. They both have strong personalities and believe their way of seeing things is best. How can I mediate between them so they collaborate better and develop a stronger team? We can even go one step further here, because we can rewrite that prompt and also include tabular or categories so that we can view this plan much simpler. Now, something else I just wanted to share around these tools. If you're not even sure where to begin, you can always ask large language models tools like ChatGPT, what are some other questions that I could ask you to yield even better responses? So don't feel afraid to even ask those questions in the prompt, because it's a very powerful tool, and it'll even help you to know how to interact with itself. Now, let me go ahead and just show you. This is the exact prompt that I laid out in the PowerPoint slide. Let's go ahead and see how ChatGPT responds with this prompt. You can see that ChatGPT lays out for me in tabular form the specific step, the action, and a short description of what I would want to see in this particular action step, like gather relevant information about the conflict, ensure you understand each employee's perspective. And because I've primed ChatGPT to act as an executive coach, I'm able to see this in such a manner. This is an incredibly powerful tool to help you to navigate some difficult scenarios, inspire new ideas, and so on. Now, this is just a short snapshot. Do want to encourage you to take a look at our video where we'll have a little bit more time to unpack this further. I'm going to share with you a link that you could use so that you can access this. We'll actually have several different scenarios that you can pull from and learn how you can better use large language model tools like ChatGPT. You should see a link there in your chat, and that's where you can gain access to some of these videos. Also, I'm sure many of you have heard about Microsoft Copilot, which was announced just last month. Copilot combines the power of large language models with your organization's data. So in other words, it's like having a powerful ChatGPT exclusive to your organization. Now, the story is evolving. Next month, Fortune 500 companies will have access to this tool, to Copilot. And we anticipate getting more information for small and medium-sized organizations by early 2024, when Microsoft releases more information and more details around this. So stay tuned for that. So moving on from prompt engineering, Eric, cybersecurity is always top of mind for many organizations. Could you tell us a little bit more about Microsoft Secure Score?
Absolutely. Super excited to touch on this topic. So for anybody who isn't aware of what the Microsoft Secure Score is, it's a tool that Microsoft has developed inside everyone's Microsoft 365 tenant, and it's a measure of that organization's security posture inside that tenant. The goal is to make recommendations to help an organization protect their users, data, applications, devices from all those bad actors that are out there. On the right-hand side of this screen, you'll see the comparison. That's a comparison of your organization with organizations of a similar size. And on the far left-hand side, that's the actual secure score. So this is just out of a test tenant. So we're looking at about 61%. Microsoft considers anything over 80% to be an acceptable score because every single recommendation inside this tool isn't necessarily right for every organization. This is a journey. This tool is evolving. It's always changing. They're coming out with great new recommendations. And this is a tool that designDATA is leveraging today to help protect our customers further inside their tenant. And just as an example, we've seen some tenants go from the mid 20% ranges up to the high 80s in just about a month, which is incredible.
So Eric, why might this be important for an organization?
Yeah, great question. So things like email phishing from bad actors has always been a thing, but you may have seen in the news recently that it is unfortunately on the rise yet again. So anybody on the call that isn't familiar with what a phishing email is, it's just a bad actor pretending to be a third party or another human. And inside that email is generally a link, maybe a file they want you to download, or in some of these more modern ones, you'll see a QR code. When the internal employee accidentally falls for that email, they then get hit with a dummy 365 portal, a fake website that'll load in their browser, and they unfortunately enter their full email, their password. They might even be prompted to complete MFA, and now that bad actor has full control of that account. So once the bad actor has access to the account, they get access to that user's email, SharePoint sites and files that they might have access to, their OneDrive, Teams chats that might have sensitive corporate information inside of them. So that alone, pretty scary stuff. But if they were to take it a step further, which we are seeing in the industry, they will then leverage that account to blast out even more spam to anybody in that person's contact list, maybe lists that they've already have crafted. And now you're looking at your organization's brand and reputation being on the line, because then you unfortunately have to send out one of those mass emails, letting all your customers know to not click on any emails that you've sent. So if an organization were leveraging this tool, they may have already done some of the recommended actions, such as enabling multi-factor authentication at the root of the tenant. That way, every single account inside that tenant has MFA without admin intervention. So there's no room for user error. Or they might not be forwarding email. If that's blocked at the root, then you can never send email to an outside mailbox. And that's something that we see some of these bad actors doing. They'll get access to a mailbox. They'll set up a rule to forward everything to the personal Gmail or Hotmail account. That way, if you are able to close that account in time, they still unfortunately have some of those emails. And one of the cooler tools actually and recommendations inside the tool are user risk and sign-in risk policies. So those are automated policies that monitor anytime someone logs into your tenant, and it leverages Microsoft's AI capabilities to determine if that user could potentially be compromised, if it's really who they are behind that keyboard. And it'll force that user to either do MFA, or if it thinks they are truly compromised, it will force them to do a password reset and MFA, which helps further lock down that account.
So Eric, this can be a lot to take in. How would you distill next steps for our audience?
Yeah, I think best next steps would be A, determine if you are leveraging this tool today. If you are, fantastic. If you're not, go ahead and reach out to your current IT team. Again, if you're a designDATA customer, please reach out to us. This is something we can definitely sit down and review with you and make sure all of your data, users, your organization as a whole are as protected as they can be.
Great, thank you so much. And also, as part of our audience, as part of our team here, we do have several resources for you to access. I'm going to share with you a link in the chat so that you can have access to these. The first one on the Microsoft Secure Score, which Eric was just sharing, and then another link on prompt engineering. So it'll include the formula of how you can design your very own prompt into ChatGPT. Well, we're so glad that you all joined us here for today. As you close today's Zoom, you will be prompted to submit your feedback, and we'd love to hear from you. Did you enjoy this educational format? What would you like to see for future webinars like this? We'd love to read your responses. As soon as you close today's Zoom, you should get that prompt to fill out that survey. Also, if you're curious about how to apply these next steps for you around Microsoft Secure Score or the team's changes that are coming up or around prompt engineering and so forth, don't hesitate to email us at ask@designdata.com. Also, be sure to join us very soon on Wednesday, November 15th. We have our virtual summit, Vision CSI, where you'll learn how to synergize cybersecurity, data analytics, and mission-driven partnerships. Thanks so much for joining us here today. We will see you next time.